Good evening and welcome to Newswire LA. Tonight we're coming to you from the Ron Deaton Civic Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles for the first of what we hope are mini debates between the two contenders for district attorney. Just arriving are Alan Jackson and Jackie Lacey, who will square off in a debate hosted by the Los Angeles County Organization of Police and Sheriffs. We're calling it the Showdown in Downtown. This will be the first time the two have squared off since they became the two frontrunners in June 5th's primary election. Let's sit back and get ready for a night of debate highlights and commentary, all here on Newswire LA. And it's coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Ron Deaton Civic Auditorium in downtown Los Angeles, where Alan Jackson and Jackie Lacey will face off in their first debate prior to the November elections. We want to start off by saying that tonight's commentary will be delivered to you by yours truly, Chin Thomasangsi. I have had the pleasure of covering this race from various angles over the last few months. Off the top, we need to let you know that tonight's session will be narrow in scope. Why? Well, tonight's debate is being hosted by the Los Angeles County Organization of Police and Sheriffs, and it's an organization made up of professional law enforcers. Therefore, a lot of what you'll see in here tonight is directed towards that community. However, the issues that affect law enforcement ultimately affect the electorate. Rest assured that I will be there to help steer you through these waters and hopefully allow you to formulate your thoughts on who would be the best candidate for this office. As we watch the candidates get ready for tonight's debate, let's give you a quick bio on each of these individuals. The moderator for tonight's event is respected Los Angeles newsman and radio host Warren Olney. Olney has worked at all of LA's major television stations and is currently on the radio. The night will begin with opening comments from both of the candidates. Let's listen in.
My name is Jackie Lacey. I'm the Chief Deputy of the LA County District Attorney's Office. It's the #2 position in that office. I've served in the LA County District Attorney's Office for 27 years. About half of my time has been spent as a frontline prosecutor, prosecuting everything from drug cases to child molestation cases to murder cases to a death penalty case. I secured the first hate crime murder conviction in LA County history against some Nazi lowriders who murdered an African-American man in Antelope Valley. But my most relevant experience has been the last 12 years being at the leadership helm in the District Attorney's Office. I'm a member of the executive staff team. And there I have really refined my leadership skills. I've been in charge of central operations for about 2.5 years. And during that time, I increased morale and improved their conviction rate from 65% to 85%. I was the director of specialized prosecution, where I supervised some of the most elite lawyers, trial lawyers in our office, including my opponent. And there I also had command of the juvenile division, where I improved what they did by requiring all of their lawyers get sexual assault training before handling those cases. I also signed a record-breaking 200 wiretaps. As assistant DA for 5 years, I managed most of the office. There I had all of the head deputies and the DICs reporting to me who were in line operations. And there, I began to teach people in the office about leadership and what's required in order to lead an office of 1,000 prosecutors. I'm now the chief deputy, and I've had a lot of experience in figuring out what is going on in an incredible office that I have called my work for the last 26 years. And I'm running to be your next district attorney. I want to thank you.
Miss Lacey keeps her comments relatively on point and begins to build the pyramid of reasons why she should be the next district attorney of Los Angeles County. And now, it's Alan Jackson's turn.
First of all, I do want to thank you, Warren, for taking your time to moderate this event, and I want to thank LA Cops for putting the event on. I think it's very important that we begin a dialogue about the office of the district attorney and who's going to fill that office. And I want to start by saying that we're at a crossroads. Make no mistake about it. We're facing a perfect storm. Inmates getting out early. Jails filled to capacity. An economy that we haven't seen this bad in decades. And law enforcement is really, and let's talk about it in terms of law enforcement, that's who's sponsoring this event. Law enforcement is going to be stretched to the breaking point. Law enforcement is going to be asked to do so much more with so much less. And law enforcement is going to need and demand, I think, a partner at the helm of the DA's office. Somebody who understands what it is to get criminals off the streets and keep criminals off the streets, as well as someone who understands how to stop crime before it starts. And folks are going to have a choice to make. The folks in this room, you're going to have a choice to make, as are the voters of Los Angeles County. And that choice is going to come down to this. An 18-year battle-tested veteran prosecutor who's handled some of the most consequential cases in the modern history of the district attorney's office, who's supervised the most elite division in the modern history of the district attorney's office, versus an office administrator who hasn't set foot in a courtroom in 12 or 15 years. There's a very defined difference between Miss Lacey and myself, and I applaud her lifetime of service. I applaud her career. But there is a distinction between Miss Lacey and Alan Jackson. And when given that choice between me and Miss Lacey, the rank and file officers throughout Los Angeles County overwhelmingly have chosen my campaign. More than 25 separate police associations have endorsed our candidacy. Why? Because they know that they will have a partner in law enforcement in me. As a military veteran with 18 years in the courtroom trying the most high-profile cases, managing the most elite and successful divisions in the office, as an educator, a supervisor, and most importantly, as a prosecutor, I know how to lead. My name is Alan Jackson. I want to be your district attorney because the DA's office belongs in the steady hands of a true prosecutor. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Alan Jackson also proceeds to plant his seeds and let the audience know why he wants to be the head of the DA's office. However, Mr. Jackson makes an early break to let the audience know that his opponent has not been in the courtroom in a long period of time. He also moves to emphasize the point that she has spent much of the last decade or more in the role of a manager and administrator. In my analysis, Mr. Jackson is likening himself to the working man in the sense that he is a working prosecutor. He is a working prosecutor who's still actively trying cases while Miss Lacey remains in an office and out of touch. This theme would be recurrent throughout the entire evening. It's also important to note that Mr. Jackson has captured a good portion of law enforcement's endorsements, especially among the rank-and-file officers. Miss Lacey, however, has captured her share of endorsements among the chiefs and commanding officers of several Southern California law enforcement agencies. Question number 1. How would you change the DA's office? This question is basic to almost any political debate, and leading off is Jackie Lacey.
My courtroom experience has never left me, and it never will. But you need more. You need to understand and have an understanding of the legislative process, and you need to have relationships in place, and that's what I have. Things would be different when I become district attorney because the challenges are going to be different. After all, realignment is not something that prior DAs have had to face. This is the biggest change to occur in our generation. And so having the knowledge and skills to prepare for this is very important. My opponent characterizes me as an administrator. That's like saying the senior partner at Latham Watkins is an administrator. It simply reflects a lack of understanding of what you need in order to lead that office. The District Attorney of LA is not going into a courtroom. The District Attorney of LA is going to be a leader. She is going to be a spokesperson for this office. She's going to be making tough decisions. And it is demeaning to say that that leadership position, the very position that my opponent wants, is just an administrator. A lot of the issues with regard to the courtroom, a lot of the skills are not the same skills you're going to need to motivate 1,000 prosecutors to handle a lot of the challenges that are coming our way. And you need a true prosecutor and a true leader, and that's what I am.
Alan, who you'll find is very engaging yet bulldogish in his convictions, counters Miss Lacey's claims.
The top of the office, the District Attorney of Los Angeles County, is called the Chief Prosecutor in Los Angeles. Not the Chief Administrator, not the Chief Bureaucrat, not the Chief Manager, the Chief Prosecutor. Steve Cooley is not a titular head. Ask him. He'll tell you, he is the top prosecutor, the chief prosecutor in the district attorney's office, and that's what I bring to the table. There are 4 specific things, 4 priorities that I have for the office that I want to talk about real quick. Obviously, realignment is sort of the overarching interest and overarching concern that any of us, both Ms. Lacey and myself, need to be concerned with as we move forward. But specifically, things that I want to see changed or different about the office include public corruption. We have to expand and enhance our public integrity division. We have to give more resources to the individuals that are doing the tough work inside the courtroom to prosecute public corruption cases. Folks, when public officials, when they somehow profit off of the backs of the individuals that they're supposed to be representing, that strikes at the very heart of our democracy. That cannot be tolerated. And I would have a 0 tolerance for public corruption in Los Angeles. Gang crime. Gang crime has to be addressed. I spent 5.5 years in Compton as a frontline hardcore gang deputy. 5.5 years in Compton taught me what it is to try and to win gang cases. I know how to win gang cases. I literally wrote the book on modern prosecution of gangs. Number 3, the third thing that I would do is modernize the district attorney's office by making a priority the high-tech crimes and cyber crimes division of the district attorney's office. The fastest growing crime, if I were to ask for a showing of hands in this room, just about all the hands would go up. The fastest growing crime is identity theft. Everybody knows it because it's all happened. So we need to modernize the office by expanding our investigations and prosecutions of things like cybercrime, identity theft, and the like. And finally, I want to stop crime before it starts, because everybody knows that we will not handcuff or prosecute our way out of the crime problem in Los Angeles. We must provide the youth of Los Angeles options and alternatives that they don't currently have. Thanks.
The segue Allen took by immediately listing his battle plan for changing the office was a great tactical move, as he put the debate back on point by answering the question and addressing his opponent's assertions at the same time. Question number 2 revolves around the effects of prison realignment on the County of Los Angeles. Both candidates on this particular issue agree that prison realignment poses a number of issues that could be detrimental to the people of Los Angeles County. Alan Jackson, as cited in past articles, has stated that he would prefer to scrap the idea of prison realignment and start from scratch. That would mean rewinding the process back to having most felons, those convicted of nonviolent crimes and those convicted of violent crimes, headed to state prison. Miss Lacey, in agreement with most of the former candidates in this race, is working with what we have, and that is realignment as we have it now. In terms of dealing with the new challenges realignment has posed to the DA's office and all affected law enforcement agencies, she recommends the following.
Realignment has been, or was passed very, very fast. And there wasn't a discussion with the stakeholders, and no one that I know of was more vocal than our office about saying that there was a problem here. I do think that there is going to be a problem with resources. We're not going to be able to add more staff. And so we've got to sort of figure this out. And I think the right answer is the way realignment is structured now. The sheriff is determining who gets out and when. I would rather that be put right back in the courtroom where the judge or the prosecutor, where you have a probation report, and that's where you determine what should happen. I'm not sure it's realistic to think that we're going to be able to contract with outside state agencies to take some of our prisoners. I'm not sure where that support is going to come from. And I think it's a better project, it's a better idea for us to figure out how to deal with it here in the state of California. I think that what I'm going to ask for is that what was promised be given. In other words, we will promise that 1/3 of the money that the state prisons were using to deal with these prisoners would come to the county level. And so far that has not arrived. And so I would demand that the governor fulfill his promise.
Mr. Jackson, however, uses realignment as another opportunity to articulate some goals he has in mind should he become the district attorney of Los Angeles County.
There are specifically 5 things that I think we could do, and I as district attorney will do, to alleviate some of the concerns of AB 109. And that is, number 1,